Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Wednesday, November the 23rd, race number 9 at Parx. It's one of 3 stakes races on the card. Let's throw up the field for the Turkey Trot. We're going 1 mile and 70 yards on the main track. $75,000 is the purse. It's a pretty full field. The 7 Riding with Biden is also cross-entered at Laurel later this week. I talked to Butch Reed earlier on Monday. He's not sure which way he's going to go just yet. Riding with Biden's carrying a lot of weight if he runs in here, 128.
Yeah, he is. He's actually in pretty good form, though. Supposed to be, a real strong contender if he runs here, Dan. This is a big field, and so I guess in some ways you got to worry about, the trips that these horses are going to be able to work out. I thought there was a lot of filler in this race, though.
I agree. I think there are only about 3 or 4 main contenders in here, and then there are a couple of other horses that are looking to spring an upset that are going to have to probably run lifetime tops. One of the major contenders is a horse that can work out his own trip. He has that sort of tactical speed. Let's throw up the Timeform US Pace Projector and analyze Empty Tomb, the number 1, a horse that can be forwardly placed. He is expected to be up close to the pace. Golden Juan is a quick horse, the number 2. I expect him to be out there, but I think that Golden Juan and Empty Tomb look like the pace setters. Riding with Biden, I think he's more effective on the lead going longer distances.
Yeah, it'll be, if he runs here, it'll be interesting to see what kind of trip he gets, because he's going to be forward, even if he's not on the lead. Then I certainly, when I looked at the race, I thought he would be forward in this race regardless. Maybe you're right that, it's the longer distance races where he really wants to be in front, but even in a race like this one, I think it would be unwise of them not to use his speed. The 2, yeah, I can see him making the early lead in here. Empty Tomb's a fast horse. He has the rail, but he doesn't need to be in front to be effective.
Let's talk a little bit more about Empty Tomb, your morning line favorite. Arad Ortiz going out for a very good young trainer in Robbie Falcone, who claimed this horse for $80,000 in 2021. He turned him into a stakes-placed runner. Now, he came off of a very long layoff to score at Delaware 2 starts back, going 2 turns. They ran him in the Kelso last time out. That was just a weird race that was won by a 1,000,000-to-1 shot.
Yeah, it was. I mean, this isn't, at the end of the day, Empty Tomb, as nice a horse as he is, and he's really nice. He's not a grade 2 kind of horse. And, the Kelso, that wasn't the strongest Kelso we've ever seen. But he's just not really that kind of horse. Then he's more this kind of horse. A $75,000 overnight stakes race at Parx. Yeah, Empty Tomb, he can make hay in races like this. He's really good, really consistent, and he's got a great running style for this race. Irad Ortiz is supposed to come in and ride him.
And Falcone has had remarkable success recently, just picking his spots at Parx. Hit the board with all 8 of his starters. He also has remained anonymous on Wednesday at Parx. That horse scored in a stake the last time she shipped down from her New York base. Golden Juan is the number 2, and this horse showed that 2 turns was not an issue last time out. He stretched out for the first time. He caught a muddy track, and let's watch Golden Juan. He showed some speed in this race. This was a legitimate pace. They went 22-1 for the opening quarter. He opened up a lead on the second turn, and he understandably got tired at the very end. Now, he's likely going to have to go quick again in the early stages, and he'll have better horses pressing him this time around.
Right. I mean, those are the things that I think concern you about Golden Juan in here. It looks like he's in a pretty tough spot here. If he wants to be on the lead, it doesn't feel like he's going to be able to clear it and back it down that much, Dan, because there are other horses who are going to be keeping him occupied up there. I wouldn't bet him off of that race we just watched.
The 3 is A Matter of Time. He is a multiple stakes winner against fellow New Jersey breds. 7-year-old coming off a Beyer top. Let's watch this performance at Delaware. He got a beautiful ride by Jamie Rodriguez, who just got this horse to the front, got him to relax on a nice, easy 48 3/2. But I really like the way he put it into high gear this last 1/8 of a mile. Maybe not the greatest field, but not a bunch of bums that he was in against in this spot. This was a good performance for a horse that's also adept from off the pace.
Yeah, I liked this win from him. And you're right that he got the right ride on that day, but I like the way that he finished that race off. That, to me, that's a good sign for this horse. And as you've already pointed out, you only have to go back to May, second off the layoff. He earned a 95 Beyer win in that day from off the pace.
This is a horse who was supplemented for, I think, only about $300 to get into this race by trainer Savino Ramirez. I talked to him Monday. He says this horse is doing well, and they expect him to sit this time around from off of the pace. Tough Tickets, second win was most recent start. Let's watch Tough Tickets' effort. Now, this was a pretty fast pace in a 1.70-yard race. He was the favorite, though, in this starter optional claimer. And I have to admit, even though the pace was fast, even though it was contested, I wanted to see him finish it off a little bit better.
I agree. I don't care for this. The other problem that I have with him, Dan, is, this race aside, is I feel like I've seen this act from him before. Todd Pletcher had this horse earlier in the year in New York, and I saw performances similar to this one out of this horse against much cheaper horses in those races too. I just don't think this horse is that good.
Here's a veteran of the race wars, the number 5 Sound Off. He's 8 years old. This will be his 78th trip to the post, and he's won 15 times. He's bagged over $355,000 in lifetime earnings, but I just wonder if he's better against slightly weaker competition, maybe on the West Virginia circuit at Charlestown or Mountaineer.
That's how I looked at him too. He is going to be a price in this race if you like him. And it's not like he doesn't have any races that would give him a chance here. I mean, he's got a few that would give him a real chance in here. He wants that pace projector to be right, Dad. He wants there to be a fast pace in front of him so he can make one run.
I think the 6 Expensive Cup has a little bit of upside potential. He's a 3-year-old. He's been kept busy this year with 13 lifetime starts. He's hit the board 9 of them. His most recent race at Parx was a solid enough performance. Let's watch this race. Now, it was only a $25,000 starter allowance, and he got the right trip. Up on the lead, the pace was moderate, and he's just able to hold off the closer. 78 Beyer speed figure, that's tied for a lifetime best. He's going to have to do better in this spot.
Right. He's just going to have to improve by a lot. His recent form actually is probably the best form of his career, but it's not going to be good enough to beat a field like this one. The 2 most recent wins, also races where he was just able to control the pace, Dan. He's not making the lead in here.
Talk about controlling the pace. That led to Riding with Biden, the number 7's career victory, his big victory. 2 starts back in the Grade 3 Greenwood Cup. They stretched him all the way out to a 1.5 miles on Pennsylvania Derby Day, and they let Paco Lopez just walk the dog with Riding with Biden, who had enough to hold them all off in the lane. Now, the pace scenario was much different when they cut him back to a mile last time out against other stakes horses, and he just went too fast on the lead. He can rate. I think a good trip is coming. If he runs in this spot, he is lugging a lot of weight.
He is, but I think in some ways, if this is where they elect to run him, Dan, I think in some ways he's just the horse to beat in here. He didn't run great last time. That was a better field than this one, though, and he did not have a particularly comfortable trip on the lead. He doesn't have to be on the lead, Dan, but he's going to be forward in here. He's a really dangerous horse if this is where they run him.
No Need to Worry is up next, the number 8. This is another 3-year-old, but this is kind of a tough spot for him. He hasn't run since early June. That was a turf experiment, and boy, talk about an experiment. They caught just a bottomless, boggy turf course. I won't hold that race against him at 85-1. The winner of that race was a similar price. His prior effort in the Federico Tessio, though, was his first start against stakes horses, not in New York, and he was just found wanting against 3 next out winners. This layoff, I want to take a wait-and-see approach.
Yeah, me too. I couldn't get behind this horse right now. They're going to start him back, and I guess a spot it's not supposed to be, I guess, too tough for him, but it's not easy, Dan. They tested this horse a couple times as an early 3-year-old, and I don't know, he didn't run well in either of those Grade 3s in New York.
I respect anything Lupe Preciado puts out on the track. He's got the 9 Looking at Roses, making his 3rd start off of a lengthy layoff. Now, he and Empty Tomb were turned off similar layoffs in that race at Delaware, 2 starts back, and Empty Tomb was just better than Looking at Roses, but maybe Looking at Roses was just prepping first off the bench. I wish he ran a little bit better last time out, but I think he did some good things in that race.
Yeah, me too. I still don't think it's enough. It just wasn't enough, Dan, to get me that excited about this horse, who again, he's another horse in here who I don't think is impossible. And I do think he could fall into the right trip in this race. I'm just not totally sold on him. And he's 5-1 on the morning line. I'm not taking that price.
The 10 Wait For It's banked over $700,000 in his career. He's a very likable Pennsylvania bred, a multiple stakes winner. Heck, he was 4th in the 2019 Pimlico Special. I do wonder if he's getting a little bit long in the tooth at the age of 7. This year, he's only hit the board once, and that race came over a synthetic surface.
Yeah, his form just hasn't been that great. It's actually going all the way back then. He ran that really big race here at Parx early last year with a triple-digit buyer. And since then, his form just has left a lot to be desired. They do a lot of switching surfaces with him. Maybe that has something to do with it. I just don't like his recent form.
Switching distances as well. He'll be stretching back out. He did face a pretty decent sprinter. That Smooth B's okay last time out. He came out of the jump start to win an allowance with a 93 buyer. Northern Express is up next, the number 11. This horse is only 1 for 23 lifetime. He's stepping way up to face stakes competition. He did it the board last time out, but world's different from a competition standpoint here. He's likely to be a huge price.
Yeah, it's got to be probably the longest shot on the board. We were talking about filler in the opening. This horse is he's filler.
New Commission has a very tough outside post position. He didn't have that last time out on the rail. Let's watch that race, the Belletzi Appreciation Mile. This was the race where Riding with Biden was up close to the slow pace. He's getting tired right now. New Commission, I thought, had a pretty decent trip saving ground. He got to the outside. He's able to get up for second. I think this horse is a little bit underrated, but he's also still a little bit green after all these starts. He's on his left lead here in the stretch. He can get a little bit wound up in the paddock, post parade, and behind the gate.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if things work out for him here from post 12. Dan, he ran fine last time. I didn't love that performance. He got a great trip in that race, and I really liked the horse that beat him. I didn't think this horse was doing a ton of running through the stretch. To me, he looked like a suck-up second in there with a career top figure.
Now, before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for all the latest DRF video franchises. Top pick time for the Turkey Trot, one of 3 stakes on a very nice Wednesday card at Parx. You're going with Empty Tomb. If he runs his race 2 starts back, or some of the races we've seen from him before in New York, he's going to be very, very tough to beat.
That's why I took him, Dan. I did like his race 2 back, but he's got plenty of other ones that would make me just as interested. He's a little bit of an underrated horse.
We have the same exact different order. A Matter of Time is a horse that's somewhat versatile. I know he won on the lead last time out. I'm hoping that's not his preferred running style. After all, it was a career best buyer after many, many starts, but he's shown the ability to win from off the pace. I think he'll be a better price than Empty Tomb. I'll go with A Matter of Time. 1,379 for Mike, 3,112.9 for me. It's the Turkey Trot on Thanksgiving week at Parx. Good luck.